Hello, this is how to connect using the remote desktop protocol to a Ubuntu 26.04 computer. I want to connect in a similar way to xrdp and to the Microsoft remote desktop protocol server, which means I should not be logged into the actual mouse, keyboard and monitor. So I want to connect in a headless mode. Usually I do this by installing the xrdp server, but in Ubuntu 26.04, which uses the GNOME shell desktop, I cannot actually install xrdp probably because there is no X11 session for GNOME. But there is a remote desktop protocol server built into the GNOME desktop. Let's configure it. So settings, system, remote desktop, the second tab here, so not desktop sharing but remote login. It asks for super user password, so the sudo password of the current user. I enable remote login, so says that when your user account isn't being used, which means at the physical console nobody is being connected. And also it says that when we're connected via the remote desktop protocol, when we resize the remote desktop protocol client window in the case of FreeRDP, or when we suggest an initial resolution X and Y, width and height, when connecting via remote desktop protocol, then GNOME will resize to that resolution, which is a very important feature for me. And then we just must set a username and a password. I'm setting the exact same username and password as the local Linux user account administrator, the first that I have created when I have installed the Ubuntu 26.04 operating system, and the Linux user account that I'm using right now to be connected inside the GNOME desktop. So the exact same user and password. Okay, there's no apply button, it's instant apply. I'm going to close the settings and then I'm going to restart the computer in order for the, I don't know, cryptography to be configured, for the system, the services to be started and enabled, etc. I'm just going to restart. Thank you for subscribing, joining, and helping this YouTube channel. This is my wiki page at mariusp.github.io. The first link here, xrdp. Go to the end of the page. I'm going to press the keyboard key End. And I have installed the FreeRDP package. I'm using Ubuntu 25.10, and this is the command line that I actually use. Depending on your operating system, the name of the executable might start with WL for Wayland, might start with X for X11, might end with 3, or might not end with 3. So there's various possibilities for the name of the FreeRDP remote desktop protocol client application. But this is the one for me. Let's modify the command line a bit. So the network interface card has IP address ending with 208. Let's review a bit the command line. So the name of the executable, FreeRDP, and then /u : means the username. This is the user group. So the domain actually. So Windows style domain. Dot means current computer. Administrator, which is the name of the Linux local user. Initial width, initial height, which is exactly 1080p. And then /v means the computer with the RDP server that we're going to connect to. And then the best protocols possible, the best speed possible /network:/LAN. And then I want this feature, dynamic resolution, where if I resize the FreeRDP window, that's going to communicate with the GNOME desktop and tell it to resize such that no stretching is being performed. I am not going to forward the sound from the Ubuntu 26.04 machine to the current computer, to Ubuntu 25.10. This is the command line. Let's run it inside a terminal. Asks if I trust the certificate, the security certificate. Yes, uppercase Y, enter. Password. And we're at GDM, the desktop manager. And that's it. We're inside the GNOME desktop, the session for the user that we have provided inside GDM, the only user that I have created during the installation of Ubuntu 26.04. We can resize the FreeRDP window. It's going to tell the GNOME desktop to change its resolution, which is a very important feature. Then the speed is really great. It's as good as native speed for non-GPU tasks. So for using the web browser, a text editor, many graphical user interface applications, programming, debugging, etc. Not for playing games, probably. Because we're over a remote desktop protocol connection. Okay, and what we also need to check is to make sure that copy paste of text works both directions. So I'm copying from the remote desktop protocol client machine towards the remote desktop protocol server machine, so towards Ubuntu 26.04 and back. So copy paste of text works both directions. I can resize the FreeRDP window. It's going to resize GNOME desktop, and the speed is there. The connection is extremely snappy for my use. So in this case, from what I see, this is feature parity to what I have always used, which is the xrdp server plus a X11 session, and then as client FreeRDP. It's just that Ubuntu 26.04 now has GNOME with just the Wayland session. There's no more X11 session, so I probably cannot install xrdp server. But then GNOME has built in this functionality, which is extremely similar to at least my limited use of features from xrdp. So I can connect. Everything's snappy and fast. I can resize even a quarter of a screen if I want. And copy paste of text works. So this is it. This is how to connect to Ubuntu 26.04 LTS using the remote desktop protocol in graphical user interface mode. If you want to connect in text user interface mode, that would be via the OpenSSH server. Thank you.